But so it's a trap, Dave. This whole thing, the way the system, the way the world, the realities of the world, and we fall for it every day. So, and the reason I say that is because you know, I'd have been, what has it been, maybe about, at least about between 10 and maybe 13 years, 14 years. I've been out here just on my own, no check, no nothing, man.
That's right.
And I've been just like learning, absorbing. You know, I went through the ups and downs of life, but when you start to see it with a little clarity, you know, it's like, man, everything is a trap in American society. They just, we talked about it one day. They unleash hell on the American people. They say, here's social media, here's the internet, here's all this technology. And Americans are already by nature addictive personalities. That's why we consume the way we consume.
Right.
I don't care if it's drugs, food, products, resources, everything. We're over the top. And they got people chasing this loop. So you try to break free of that when you leave from the lack of a better word, the matrix. You try to find your balance in the world. And it's what I found is more than anything, it's getting back in touch with you, because there's a spiritual element to us, a core energy to us that kind of balances us. That energy like keeps you safe always. It always lets you know you're gonna be all right. But when I was in the workplace and I was caught up in the grind of Western society, that was dead. It wasn't. I was just programmed, chop, and getting to work, getting to this meeting, going to this event, doing this, picking up this from the clean. I mean, everything was, the kids go here. Everything was just this, but it was all illusion. It's all just part of this whole matrix to keep you going. So, long story short, Dave, what I was gonna say, the last probably 3 years been really hard years financially. But that's life. So is life. It's also why I get excitement out of life, not being tied into that system. So it's like you got to take the crooked with the straight. You got to take, you know what I'm saying, the good with the bad. In doing that, you actually start to live. So through all of that, man, I've been, you know, so many business ventures and different ideas. And you think about how many businesses you didn't partner with me over the years. And then I do that for a living. I look for things to invest in. I look for ways to keep going. But more important to me is the experience in life. And that's why I won't go back to that cycle of working and getting caught into it. Because I feel rich in life, bro. Like no matter what my money is, and I feel rich in that I've had more better days than the bad days, and I come from bad days. You see what I'm saying?
So do you?
I win more than I lose.
So here's a question for you, because we both come from not having very much, and then you worked your way up the ladder, so to speak, in Western culture, in the workforce, to, you know what I mean, achieve, you know, leadership positions.
Yes.
And so you started off, you didn't have very much, you got education, you worked your way up into leadership position on the workforce. You gave that up, and now you're experiencing the highs and lows of trying to do it on your own without the job in the workforce.
Yeah. And let me say this, Dave.
The question though.
Go ahead. What's the
question? The question is, when you reflect on it, how does each phase play a role? The fact that, if you, in other words, had you not come from humble beginnings from the get go, and you went and you did had success in the workforce, and then you decided to leave that, and you're experiencing what you're experiencing now, do you think you would process it differently, or do you think
that's an interesting question. Let me try to answer it in phases. First, kind of part of what you were saying, it seemed like you was asking me like how that whole experience was. Interestingly, you said the ups and downs now, but I felt like my beginning was ups and downs. You grew up like me. We grew up poor. We grew up in the 70s.
Exactly.
So we didn't have shit. And then I went from that kid to hustling on the street and having money in my pocket, but then going to prison.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So then I come out and I'm still on the streets, but my mom and family get to me, and I decide I gotta get off of these streets. Too much is happening. So I went undergrad, and I struggled through undergrad, bro. But those experiences made me valuable, so to speak. So, I came back to Columbus, got my master's at Ohio State. So even though I was young, even though I was, in my late 20s, early 30s, you know what I mean? I had did so much shit in the beginning of my life, you get what I'm saying? So I went in administration. So I kind of really, I was in my 30s making, I was one of the, let me just say this, I was pretty young to be making six figures. So I had a really long career ahead of me like that. But when that went sour, and I felt like it was ups and downs because I had this money, I had the salary, but I didn't really have power. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working in government, and I'm in charge of a lot. From a resume standpoint, from a, business card standpoint, it's like, wow, look at this dude. But I didn't feel that inside, man. I worked at I was a court administrator, so I got 17 judges that I essentially represent like a chief of staff. But that's really like having a board of 17 or 17 bosses. And so you're dealing with that, and the bureaucracy of America, you usually can't get a lot done, especially if you work in public or nonprofit sector. So I didn't feel alive inside. So I think even with my wife leaving and going through the divorce, I walked away from it trying to work on my marriage, and that fell apart. And that's why I said I kind of hit the spiritual track, because it was like, I need to get back into living. That I went into life living and kind of dulled out when I got trapped into the system, and I didn't feel like I was living. I had a steady income. People was like, man, you make good money. I had the house and this and that. But quite honestly, I live better now than I lived then. You know that, like,
right, and that's
I can't explain it, but the quality of life. I live way better than, and there, I was really struggling. I had the kids, you know what I'm saying, all their sports and everything. It's just, but what I would say is this: I learned to not focus on the finance and enjoy the road. You know what I'm saying? Because I barely graduated high school, bro. I was taking classes at Norfolk Dog. You know what I'm saying? Now all of a sudden I got like all this paper and everything, and I was like, I can't tell you right now where none of that shit is, right? But I can tell you about experiences, friendships, hard times, good times. It's the journey, bro. It's the whole journey. We get caught up in trying to get here and there, and we forget to live. I talk to people every day. They be like, oh, I'm going to do this for 10 or 20 years. It's like, what you going to do in between them dots?
The journey is the journey is right. It is about the journey. But again, your experiences, how the way you process that now, the fact that you come to the realization, or the fact that it's about the journey. Do you think you would see it differently? Do you think you would process it differently had it not been for the entire process and journey you went through? In other words, let's skip the the humble beginning. Let's say you started off, you know what I mean, coming from a well-off family. All right. So then you never go to prison. You just go through high school. Whether you struggle or not, you finish. You go through college. You get your master's at Ohio State. Everything else the same. Do you think you would have processed anything after that differently?
Man, that's a tough question. I'm gonna tell you why, Dave. I don't think I could be who I am today had I not went through like it. This is why I can live the way I live. I'm gonna be honest, Dave, and this is something that might be controversial. People want to talk about it. I don't know how you want to put it, but let me just tell you like this. I don't care if you black, white, Mexican, Latino, I don't care where the fuck I don't care what. If you grew up poor and you learned to hustle, I mean, really survive. Like, and I'm not sitting here saying I had the worst, but it wasn't, we was in survival mode. You see what I'm saying? We was all in survival mode. And fortunately for me, I believe I had the intellect to listen to a lot of the OGs and listen to a lot of people who really broke the game down for me. People think like, oh, everybody's so dope in the. Everybody can't sell dope, Dave. Let's just be real.
Okay.
Am I lying?
No, you ain't lying.
Everybody try to pretend like it just anybody could go fucking sell dope. That's not true.
That's right.
It takes a skill set. It takes a certain mentality. It takes an education. See, a lot of people out here think, oh, it's just motherfuckers were self-made. No, you had to get educated on the streets. You had to get an education. Because a lot of motherfuckers had to put you on game. All these sayings, the game is sold, not told. It's real shit out here. But you just don't see it no more. And then everybody don't, they pretend like it's something different. But if you grew up that motherfucker right there, I don't care if you go to college, I don't care what you do, no one's ever going to completely have control of you. You just going to, and that's why you don't really fit in with that side of the world, because they never truly had control of you. So I had the degrees, and I could sit down at the table and have these conversations with, professional people, and they could accept me at that. Maybe even think he comes from where I come from. Maybe even think that. But we carry like a different edge about us, where they're just not sure. You see what I'm saying? And you never, if you never belong in that world. You know it. It's like when you a kid and you go over somebody who's like got a lot of money, and just a different lifestyle than you. They have excess. You know what I'm saying? And you go in, you just never feel at home there. You know what I'm saying? I have family members that just lived a quality life, and I never felt comfortable in their house. I only felt comfortable in the hood.
I've experienced that. And that's odd that you would say that you feel more comfortable with friends or friends' house with their families in their homes than you would feel with family members in their homes. But again, it has something to do with that kind of social status. So you said you said something. You said you're never going to fit
in that world.
In that world. So let's unpack that. So because you go to school just like everybody else there. You get the degree just like everybody else there. You're intelligent. You know what I mean. You've been put in a leadership position. Like you said, sitting across the table, they may even think he comes from where I come from.
But see, here's the difference. Okay. Here's the difference, Dave. Because I know you was going somewhere else with it, but let me just throw this little piece at. So when you come from where we come from, for some reason, we like to think that those people up the pay scale and the education scale there, that they really care like we care. You like to think that they care, like, so when we grow up in a fucked up life, like, we grow up like, man, we really go up trying to get back, trying to do good, trying to be fair. Like, we hold ourselves to like a higher standard. You see what I'm saying? Because now we believe and we want to make a difference. It starts to chip away at us when we see that most of them people there don't care about anything but their lifestyle. You see what I'm saying?
So right, okay. So now you made this a two-part question, because the first part I was going to ask, how, I don't want to phrase the question. How do you, with saying that you don't fit in that world, you know what I mean? I want to unpack what that world is, and you know what I mean, and kind of what goes along with that. But then also, what you're saying now is, and say it again for me.
First let me answer that piece
Okay,
that you just said. So let me answer that piece that you just said. The best way I could describe it is like this. Malcolm X, when he used to preach, he used to make a difference in black people. He said it was kind of like the house Negro and the field Negro. I don't remember but distinct differences in it. Field Negro didn't see the system, didn't see the plantation owner same way the house nigga did. The house nigga's close to him, and the house nigga was the nigga that was, wanted, that loved him. You know what I'm saying? And then, I remember the speech when Malcolm X said, the house nigga, house burned down. He trying to say say the master is good. Field nigga praying that it burned to the ground. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
The whole mentality. So today it's kind of a class mentality. It's like you have the upper middle. I call it the upper middle to upper class society, and I think it goes across all races. But specific to us, let's talk about African Americans. Within our culture, that group, that liberal group, and I'll call them liberals, that Democratic group, that's all your Biden pushers and all this shit. That group of people, they're assimilators. They're assimilated because they bought into the system. The system works for them. The system benefits them. It's not about fixing the system. I don't care if it's government, I don't care if it's nonprofit, I don't care if it's corporate. They don't care about doing right by anybody. It's just a lifestyle. Now, most of these people are scared to death of falling down here with the lower classes. The lower class people at the bottom, nobody wants to be at the fucking bottom, bro. We came from the bottom. Nobody wants to be down there. These people, they've assured a pathway that they won't never be down here. And the only way these black people down here can get anything good is if they can hopefully get an education or something and then try to marry or fit into this world. That's all it is, bro. So for me, I could have fit into the world. I could go with the world. But the difference is, I didn't need them motherfuckers. Do you feel what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck about that job. Didn't give a fuck about it. Because I can go out here and make it. I ain't had a job in what? Damn, almost 15 years. I don't give a fuck if I gotta sell flip-flops at the gas station, bro. I know how to make it work. You feel me? So I live life. So when I step out here and I do the things that I do, and people say, well, how does dude make money, or how does he do? It goes into the spiritual side. You change your energy, you change your vibrations, you attract things to you. You see what I'm saying? There's all kind of like rules to survival. Do you get what I'm saying? And growing up, as you get older, you learn to kind of differentiate what people have as strengths. When we was growing up, there was a lot of cats that had money, and I used to look at them and be like, damn, this dude can hustle his ass off, but they wasn't good hustlers. When we get older and we see and they're not doing good, and it's like, wow, how is this dude making money? And you had to start to see his different personalities. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know some cats that made money, not because they were smart, they was just fearless. They just fear nothing. And most street niggas don't. Am I lying? They don't fear shit. So it's easy to be a dope boy because it's like, I'm going to go out here and get this money. See, a lot of those who are sin, and I'm not trying to knock them. You get what I'm saying? It's just different skill sets. If you didn't grow up having to do that, you ain't developed that trait. You ain't developed that hunger or how to like really get it and learn how to get it. It's a different foundation to you.
So, and I wanted to get to that kind of like that foundation piece because so again from that whole piece about the foundation and where we come from, how we see things. One of the things I think we kind of buy into, if you will, at a young age, going to school in the public school system, and I don't know how it is in the private school system, but in the public school system, one of the number one first things you learn is pledge allegiance to the flag. You start off immediately with that as part of the indoctrination. You are taught about all of the heroes being the president. So once they teach you to pledge allegiance to the flag, and you learn that
indoctrination.
And so you memorize it, which means you internalize it. So you learn that, you memorize it, you internalize it. Then they teach you about all the presidents. These are all the heroes. This is all taught to you from the perspective as it's all there to protect you and keep you safe.
Right.
And so, you know what I mean? And so that's how you grow up. You grow up believing that the government is there to protect you and keep you safe. And so that you also then, and I'm kind of trying to get back to the piece where you said when you think that people are trying to do good and they're not, you're kind of disappointed and then you get disenfranchised. But what I'm saying is that you grow up with this belief that the government and adults and everybody in general in position of authority are there to help you. That's what they teach you. That's what they instill in you. And then what happens when you go and get the degree and you finally get to see behind the curtain is you start to realize that people in the higher positions are not concerned about the welfare and well-being of people that's in poverty.
And you know what? All the people that's in power are the same. They're the motherfuckers that paid attention in class and school and did what they told, like you said. They was them. They was all them motherfuckers. They was the Pledge of Allegiance motherfuckers.
Everybody that was that were the better, the more successful the more successfully they were indoctrinated, the more successful they are in this system.
But look at what the government did. Look at what the system did. It fucked up because you don't have that richness of diversity. Why do you think cats like Jay-Z go to the industry and make the money that they make? Because the people that you put in most of these leadership roles, they can't think outside of that book or that box.
They're safe. Exactly.
Now, if you work in government, a lot of those services and stuff, you know, sadly in our country now are like the greatest amounts of resources in government are focused toward the poor. Mostly minorities and inner city groups. When you look at these big cities, you look at cities like our city or New York or Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, all these big cities around the world.
So
the biggest funding items in government are those people, whether it be safety, human services.
You follow the money, but the thing is so you have all of that money, more or less, that is being said to be set aside for that. but then you have people in positions that are funneling the money into places and programs that don't work.
Yeah, and it's kind of twofold, because here's the thing: most of the people now that we have in society in control of the resources or the funds or the systems that you might call it, they're not as smart as we think they are. They're book smart, but they're not life smart. They're not street smart. If you're dealing with people in the inner city areas, you need to have your force, your network, your group, your organization needs to come from that community. Everybody knows this, but we all play this game. We don't really care about people. We care about the appearance of people.
Well,
you know, so we don't care about people's safety. We care that we just want to appear that we care about them.
It's all about the perception.
Yeah.
The money goes towards creating the perception, not creating the actual solution.
Yeah. So listen, think about it. Like when I got out of school and I started working in the professional, I was like looking at the people who held certain jobs, and it's like, man, this person's not really smart. Like, yeah, they're educated, but they're not. They can't really think outside of just being told what to do. And you think about it, well, they've been programmed all their life.
Indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Memorized every rule and every textbook way to think.
And man, here's the interesting thing, and I can tell you with certainty. You would be surprised. You would really be surprised. I don't even want to throw numbers out here. You take the upper percentage of African Americans up that economic scale, and you look at that, and you look at the numbers of them that are, you know, maybe making upper six figures. And you know that's not a huge number. You're talking about somebody making upper six figures annually. You know, and if you went on that whole spectrum, you went up and you looked at all the professional people, right? And you took that and you went to the streets. And you took all the African Americans that come from that bottom area, and all of them that's hustling, and all of the wealth that's even by illegal means, because we realize that the streets also run the world. You get what I'm saying? It's no different than organized crime, mafias and stuff like that. But if you took that money and you kind of drew a mirror image, I think people would really be surprised. Really be surprised where a lot of the wealth from certain communities come from. Now, we can look at that and people could pass judgment on black people, but I'd say the same for whites. I'd say the same for whites. Because the difference is the whites in this country are playing on a whole nother scale when it comes to wealth. You know what I mean? Once you start moving like international, upper scale, you don't have the boundaries now. Streets are kind of limited to where those boundaries are, but there's a lot of money in the streets as well. You get what I'm saying? So I always look at street cats like a lot of these cats can't read or write, don't have much formal education. You know, and you know, I got a lot of friends like that, and they like, bro, you know, you got that education, you could talk the talk and this and that. But I tell them all the time, like, you weren't programmed. You weren't tied down. See, those people live in fear. Most of those people live in fear of losing them jobs.
Well, that's I mean, and that's kind of my thing is that, the fear of falling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the unknown. If that makes sense, because if you know, if you've climbed up from this point before, then you know that you can climb up from this point. If you haven't, then you don't know if you can do it or not, and so it makes the fall or the idea of falling that more scarier. And so you're more likely to do whatever you have to do to keep from falling.
But you know how I look at it, Dave? I wouldn't feel alive if I wasn't falling. See, that's what you're robbing yourself. Like, what are you really here for? Like, are we here to like live this experience? Are we here to just make? You gotta live. This the journey. It's like I said earlier. See, people get caught up on the end point.
But see, here's what I would suggest.
Let me just tell you this. I've never felt more. Look, Dave. You know when I felt, and it's real shit. I lost so much money a few years back, bro. And I was in you know, I had you know took some heavy paper on my name because I knew some shit I had. Hey, I know I can make this work and put it together and everything. I lost a lot of money, man. And I mean, it was like one of the lowest points in my life because I was like, I'll never forget. I was over in Dominican Republic, bro, and all my cats, a lot of cats was over there with me. We was kicking it, had a good time. But I was like somber. Everybody knew I had nothing to smile about. I mean, I came back, man, and it was like one of the lowest points. And I said, you know what? Nah, it ain't over. It ain't over. Dave, I turned that year around. Listen, I turned everything around. I never felt so wealthy in my life. And I was fighting out of the hole. You get what I'm saying? It's like like you ain't never really enjoyed food unless you been hungry, Dave. It's the balance of life. You ain't living unless you got that experience.
But my thing is my thing that I would say to you is this: is that the premise being so different, and what I mean by that is with you having the experiences, all right, of being from the bottom to begin with, and when you do that, you talk to people, you interact with people who are on a journey to get out. Everybody's trying to get out. Right. You exchange stories and experiences. You go through the ups and downs. When you make it through to the triumph, I mean, you know what it took. You knew the grit that it took to climb. So you say you only know what you know. So what I'm saying is that, I mean,
if you didn't know all that, you wouldn't.
Well, because I mean, even people will say that's made $1 million or said once you're able to make $1 million, then you can go and make $1 million again because now you know how to make $1 million. Yeah. So my point is the fact that you've climbed out of, you know what I mean, of poverty. You're not as afraid of poverty, and that's a strength that you can draw from, and that's, you know what I mean, part of why you flipped the switch and said it ain't over. Now, on the other hand, if you've never had any of that experience, you've never watched anybody around you climb up from that. You wasn't exchanging stories.
If you never jumped in the water, you just want to listen.
Well, because what I'm saying is someone who is
it's a horrible life.
Who is well off.
Maybe this is what's wrong with America.
With someone who is already well off, who is already, you know what I mean, doing well, is already part of a social class.
Hey, this is what I'm saying. You're not look. Okay, let me tell you. I have 2 older brothers on my dad's side of the family. I think you know that live out in Cali. And one of my brothers, we didn't grow up together. They grew up they grew up in one of the richest counties in America, like out in Cali. Very, very, very rich area. So they grew up around a lot of money. And although they weren't rich, they grew up really economically above what we experienced. We didn't had a kind of lifestyle. This was my dad and his family, you know, and his kids. So I always looked like, damn, they have this, you know, going to visit them. I was like, these motherfuckers, they don't know what we got to do. They don't know what I got to deal with back here, but I'm different than them. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's a lot of differences in how we grew up. And just recently in life, we wasn't close. I don't think they cared for me at all growing up. But as we became adults and stuff, I think especially once, You know, I think when I went to prison, it was like, oh, we figured that. You get what I'm saying? But then once I went and got an undergrad degree, got my master's degree, it was like, wait a minute, he might be okay. I got married, had a family. So we started kind of, you know, connecting, and it was like, oh, you know, kind of fit that world. Well, they've also seen me go through, you know, my divorce and head back out like, yo, I might be out here. I got to hustle, got to open up, do what I got to do. You know, I'm on these streets. I got to make it. So they see both sides, but then they see me, that side of me, still maintain, raise my kids, get my kids through school. All my kids do well. You know what I'm saying? You know, Dave, like, we had some hard times, but I didn't personally been through hell, but you know, that's life. You up and you down. But I'm more up than I am down. You know what I'm saying? But with all of that said, I went through, you know, all the ups and downs of that just wasn't rich to me. It wasn't like living. You know, it wasn't, I didn't feel like, I didn't feel free. I mean, all of that just felt controlled to me. It's like, even like now, you know, it's like, I feel like that's life. That's living. I'm rich in experiences. I mean, because I feel like I stay winning, you know, but I control my energy. I stay positive, man, and I stay on the grind. But it feels. Listen, last year I lost a bunch of money, and I remember thinking, man, this is the end. You know, I just keep, whether it's on investments, whether it's on contract, like I'll get in a contract with something that looks like a great business opportunity and lose on it. But long story short, I lost a significant amount of money. It was like, damn, what's it going? And I was like, I ain't out of this shit, bro. The next month, I went over to Colombia and bought a condo. Like, I was liquidating some last accounts and shit. Like, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna move this money here. I'm gonna do this on this. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And a lot of people hear that and they see how I live and they think like, man, you look how you what you drive or you this and that. Y'all don't know, like, I live out here like these like street niggas. You know what I'm saying? I be gambling with the last of it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta roll the dice. It just, when you don't have that, I get it. If you don't have, you know, the structure, you got the fear and the anxiety. But that fear and anxiety is also what makes you feel alive, bro. It makes it all worth it.
I mean,
People don't live. People don't even enjoy this shit. Like, we can't take this shit with us. I mean, come on.
I feel that. I do feel that, because I think that's, you know what I mean. That's I think that was a real capture right there of trying to explain what it is and what it's like.
Man,
it's the, you know what I mean, because that's what people would be. You know what I mean. That's the whole thing. And I was getting to that, if you never, you know what I mean, had to build yourself up from nothing, then you're much more afraid to go there. And the fact that you won't take the chance, that you won't jump, is preventing you from actually living and knowing what it feels like.
Right.
To live and take those chances.
And guess what? It makes you different. See, people look at you different, bro. Check this out, Dave. Like, that's how I live. Like, I don't give a fuck. So I have the appearance of having way more. And when you have the appearance of having way more, you have a lot of hate out here. People ain't cheering you on like, oh, that's my... They hate on that shit. They will hate on you, man. I'm telling you. Ask anybody.
You know what? You absolutely right, and I have you know what I mean, one of my peoples, man, that, you know what I'm saying, it's my people's son and my people's nephew, but I look at him as my nephew, you know what I mean, with my young cats, and he's doing great, and in his business he's doing excellent, and I can't be more proud of him, but I even suggested that he not include himself when he's promoting it. Stay out of the videos. Stay out of the pictures.
You're right, bro.
Because people will root for a brand.
Yeah.
If they don't know the face behind the brand. But when you attach your face and everything to the brand, then people who don't want you to win, you know what I mean, will hate on the brand. Where otherwise they'd be fine with supporting the brand.
And it's a catch-22 because I'm the type of person where I look like I'm gonna live my life. And you know how we grew up, we like to floss a little on this and that, and that's just our style. And I'm not changing that for nobody. Like, I'm gonna be me. If you want to rock this, and you know you want to rock this, I'm not knocking it. But if I want to rock what I want to fucking rock, don't knock me. You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
And so, you listen. I don't need motherfucker asking me how much gas my car burned and this and that. Premium, a lot, motherfucker. I don't.
So let me ask you this. So business wise, can you name another brand where you know who owns it, or do you just know the brand? In other words, who owns Nike?
Mm.
Who owns?
Well, I mean, it's probably complicated for a lot of businesses, but I think I know where you're going. I mean, most of them are public, so they're shares. You know what I mean? But even for the ones that don't, you know who is usually divided between different family members or partners.
But do you care?
No, I mean,
I would say the brand. If the brand is good, if you are now, there are some brands that you may shy away from because of who owns it, or like Kanye had the issue with Adidas, and then a lot of people said, "Well, I'm rocking with Kanye. I ain't fucking with Adidas no more." But outside of that, I mean, because my point is, does it make more sense if you have a brand?
No, I get what you're saying. Like,
you're trying to have a successful brand, which means you want it to appeal to everybody. Does it make more sense to detach yourself publicly from the brand, so people only see the brand and don't see you? Like, so like, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, so Bad Boy, if Bad Boys was still, doing great music right now, Puffy being attached to Puffy would taint the brand. You know what I mean? Like, he had to sell his other businesses, his interest in other businesses. I guess my point is just kind of strayed from what you were saying, and just thinking about, you know what I mean, my family, and how does staying attached to your brand hurt your brand because people don't want you to be successful.
No, I got because we were talking about how people hate on you. Yeah. I mean, but within our culture, the hate it's gonna come in. It's gonna manifest itself in one way or another. Like, I feel like for me, it's like, no matter what I'm going through, I'm loving it and living it. You know what I'm saying? And I get a lot of hate from that. A lot of people just like, this motherfucker love life too much. Especially here. Come on, man. In the Midwest, niggas is only know one condition and know one thing, and that's the struggle. But if you win it, it's like, let me just tell you like this. This is what I mean by haters. It's like, people know or look at me and they have a perception that, they look at me and my kids, and if you're not struggling, then, they look at it like, I don't know how to really put it, but let me just say it like this. I have more people owing me money, like, because I've helped them out. And then, I don't give people money without the realization that I'm not going to get it back. But it's just, so when I, if I help you out of a tight spot or whatever, but you look at me and say, well, you don't need it. You get what I'm saying? It tells me a lot about you. So I feel like in your quest and your journey in life, you're gonna find the true nature of people. But it also, your circle's gonna get smaller, but it helps you find yourself because you start to look at these people different, and a lot of these people are what hold us back. We attach ourselves to make you. We attach ourselves to things that to people who can be like a parasite who can, pull the best of you away, and we'll stay like engaged in that. But when you're willing to break free and and maybe it is live without fear. I think there's a certain amount of, people envy that to a certain extent. But I look at those people and, I don't envy them, no matter how secure their life is and their finances or where they're at, because that's not living to me. You get what I'm saying? Like,
wait, wouldn't that be why they mad? I mean, because
I don't know if they comfortable. They shouldn't be mad. Like,
yeah, but my thing is this: is that so let's take a look at it. So they doing everything that the system says they're supposed to do. They were, like you said, they did the pledge, they did all the assignments, they did everything they were supposed to do, checked off all the boxes, they got the house, they had the family, they have the car, they have the life that they always wanted, but something is missing, and the shit that's missing, your ass got it.
Well, hey, that's some real shit. That's some funny shit. Dave, that's some real shit. I'm gonna tell you that how real that shit is. Nigga, you laughing, I'll tell you how real that shit is. I was talking about my brother, right? So my oldest brother.
That's hilarious.
Look, my oldest brother was here a couple years ago, and me and him hadn't talked in years, man. So he came down, and I got to go out with him a couple times, or my oldest brother on my dad's side. And so the dude did the perfect thing. I don't know nobody in my family did it more perfect than him. Listen, he's an IT guy. He makes well into six figures, lives in a big, beautiful, probably multi-millions of dollars house in one of the wealthiest neighborhoods out in Northern California, right? His wife is a teacher, two beautiful kids, great life. I always looked at this dude like he's always been the perfect dude. That's how I looked at it. Growing up, like, man, he was just a cool dude, low-key demeanor, solid, never had no problems. My other brother, he had drama, even though how they grew up. His life was kind of up and down, and he's a great dude and did great by his kids. Nothing against them. But my oldest brother's talking, and we just going through life and all this shit, and he's like, man, the way you live. He's just like, so and it was almost like he admired me. I never knew this in my life, man. Always thought these cats looked down on me, bro. But it was almost like he admired me. And I said, no, bro, I look up to you. I said, you did everything just amazing life. He never had a mishap, ever. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, you can look at it like that. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, you did all these things, kind of what we saying. And he was like, don't get me wrong, I don't regret my life, but never forget, he said, but it's been somewhat, and I'm almost certain the word he used was boring. And I remember looking and thinking, wow, that would be. Like, in elementary school, I used to look at the kids that never went to the offices like, damn, that shit look boring. That's some lame shit. You ain't never got in trouble. You get what I'm saying? I see people to this day, they be like, I never got Do you know, Dave, I never went a year of school from kindergarten to graduation without getting suspended. Never, bro. Never. Come on, man. If you was following all that bullshit, come on, Dave, you followed all that bullshit to the T.
No, I had what I thought was my share of suspensions until I heard your world record.
Bro, hold on. I wasn't no bad kid though, Dave. Come on, we know the bad kids.
Right, I got you.
We know them motherfuckers. I wasn't no bad kid.
I got you. But that's deep though. That's definitely deep, man. That he, that he came to that realization, and I can see it. But so So we have a way of reassuring ourselves that once we get to a certain point, um, we'll get the reward, or you know what I mean. Like, what I mean by that is so that when you're doing, you're in school and you're saying, you know what, I have to do this so that I can get into the college that I want to get into.
They chasing the paper. They chasing the degree, the diploma.
Right.
It ain't the journey for them,
you
bro.
condition yourself to, you know what I mean, to do everything right, and then you get into the college. And then once you get into the college, now the responsibility changes, and now, well, I have to do what I have to do so I can do well in college so I can get the job. And then you do that and you get the job. Now you have to do what you have to do so that you can do well in that job, so you can get the promotion, and you're going to get the girl, and you're going to have a family. And so you keep putting these things in front of you so you can reach these goals, but they just become goals.
I think most men do it for women.
Well, regardless of the whole point is that you keep putting these things in front of you, and you keep successfully completing the task, to according to the system, and being successful in the system. So you check all the boxes, like your cousin. He checked all the boxes. He did everything right. He got the degree, he got the house, he got the family, he got the job, he got the car, he got the everything. He checked all the boxes, but he never lived. He just checked the boxes.
Yeah, bro.
And I mean, you know what I mean? Checking the boxes is, you know what I mean? There's a certain amount of fulfillment until you get there.
So
and you look back.
Not for me. Not for me. I'm gonna be honest. It ain't. Cause here's how I looked at it. Now this is interesting, because when I was a kid and and I got mad at something. The teacher said, "Don't go out there." I don't give a fuck if I run out there. Everybody be in the classroom laughing and they like, "Oh, you gonna get in trouble." I'm like, "Yeah, but y'all day just lame as hell. Y'all sitting in that same rack ass classroom." So in my mind, I'm looking at it like that. Like, every once in a while, you want to break free, But I guess you saying the flip side is that they're in there complying. But if you just do what everybody, it's like nowadays. I look at people, even with my kids. My kids will call me, and it's always because their they mama then got in their head or something. No offense against their mama, but they'll be like, "Dad, do you think I should get this car or that car? You driving, get what car you gonna like. Should I get this one, but this one costs way more? If that's what you want, get that one." Create your own reality. Create your own life. People don't live anymore, man. It's like we walking around. I want to unplug some of these. What the fuck are we doing? Am I the only one that's seeing this shit? In real time, we walking around with fucking.
It's not that you're the only one that sees it. I think even people that's quote unquote plugged in see it, but it's the fear is unplugging. There's a fear to unplug.
Yeah,
What happens when you unplug the TV?
Let's find out, because I'm going to unplug this motherfucker.
Well, the power's going. We know what's going to happen. The power's going to go out. Now it doesn't work anymore.
Okay.
And so we're worried that if we unplug from the system, that the power's going to go out.
Nah, man, that's what
we're not going to work anymore.
That's what they telling you. But what I'm saying is, once you start living, and once you come out of that, you feel good. Only thing I would say is this. I look at so many people who's plugged in, and it just don't seem like they're enjoying life. I go hang out with my plugged in friends, and I'm like, man, life is horrible. Have you ever thought of changing something? No, these motherfuckers live in horrible every day. What the fuck is that? Bro, I never.
It's the fear.
If you come complain about your wife every day, and you don't change something, don't talk to her, don't leave.
It's the fear.
What the fuck?
It's fear. It's fear of what's going to happen if I unplug. Everybody else is plugged in.
So what I'm asking is this, like, that just sounds like you're afraid to live. So if you're afraid to live, what kind of death are you gonna have?
I'm preparing for death. I'm making sure I got insurance.
But
what I'm saying,
most of these people avoiding death.
No, they're not. That's what they're doing. It's that's what more or less it is. I mean, because the whole point of it is, if you talk to people, is that, you know what I mean, well, they're doing this so they can make sure they have insurance, you know what I mean, and to make sure they have life insurance, and they don't want the kids to be burdened, or they want to make sure that they leave something for the kids.
I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you don't have a level of responsibility to you. What I'm saying is, okay, this is where I've seen things transition. I remember generations ago, I remember being a kid, and the cats that worked 9-to-5 jobs, whether they worked at the factory or whatever that they did, when they left work at work. When they came home and cracked a beer and put some music on and threw some food on the grill, and it was always a good time. And people sat out and they talked, and they, you know, people was living. People don't live now. People live on social media or in video games.
Like you said, it was like when you was working at the factory. That's completely different than getting debt from student loans and you know what I mean, and being further indoctrinated into the system, like, you know what I mean, going on to college, and you know what I mean. And, I mean, that's all that's different. I mean, you I mean, there is. I mean, let's be honest. There is a model that everybody is sold, and the model is you go to school. When you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get a degree, and you go and you work with that degree, and you get married, and you raise a family, and then your kids, you're able to save some money. You know what for? So that you can pay for your kids to get indoctrinated.
Right.
So that they can go out and work in the same system.
And let me ask you this.
And they can make enough money so
overwhelmingly, that whole model fails. So all I see is fucking divorces and single
right.
fucking drug addict kids and shit. The whole model is not working.
Right.
Motherfuckers on anxiety medicine and shit. What the fuck?
But number one, that explains why those people are angry at you.
Because I ain't on fucking anxiety medicine. What the fuck?
Because they did everything they were supposed to do, and you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
No, I did, but I knew that shit was bullshit.
Well, my point is you didn't continue. So I'll say you didn't continue to do
because I ain't need that shit. I could.
So they're angry because, number one, you were supposed to fail when you left, and you didn't. So number two is, not only did you not fail, but then you have the life that they want to have. But they can only have that life 2 weeks out of the year when they go on vacation. They can't go to Colombia and stay in their condo and, you know what I mean, and walk around in the company of beautiful women.
You making it sound too good, Dave. Hey, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know where my.
I'm just telling you why they mad.
Yeah. No, I get it. But here's the thing I would say, it's not as hard as they want you to believe, and I tell people that all the time. Like, you know, you can succeed at just about anything if you're willing to dedicate yourself to. We all know this is not a new story. But it's like you said, you got to get over that fear, you know. But here's the thing.
You know what's bananas to me, brother?
What's that?
This is what's bananas to me, T. So you know me, I do a lot of different things. Whether we talking about, you know, dealing with music or dealing with like the, you know, the camera, understanding that, you know what I mean, for filming and editing and everything to, you know what I mean, just doing other kind of arts. I mean, I like to cook. I could, you know what I mean, do that type of stuff. Shit, if my car breaks down, you know what I mean, even if I have the YouTube, I can usually figure out how to fix it, repair that. I can, you know what I mean, I can sew, you know what I mean, whatever the case is. I mean, I can do a lot of different things.
Right.
What sometimes I am, I'm blown away by is that I meet so many people who can't, who can really pretty much only do what they went to school for.
Yeah.
And so their whole entire life and existence is wound up around that idea. And if you get to be 50 years old and that's the and that's snatched away from you, what are you going to do? And to some people, there's no answer for that. So like you said, for you said, I'm going to get it. I know how to hustle. So you can turn anything into, you know what I mean, an opportunity, you know what I'm saying, and eat off of it. Everybody can't do that, and you know what I'm saying, and even take the hustle aside, like, you know what I mean, like for instance, like Chucky. I mean, Chucky was driving trucks, but Chucky sells paintings for $2,000-$3,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so, you know what I mean.
We come from them times.
Right.
The people who they listen. This is the thing that pisses me off most, Dave. Society validates people who follow the system that don't have a skill level. This is what really, really bothers me. You get into these people who they went to law school, they did this, but they're one-trick ponies. They have nothing, no depth to them.
That's right.
Do you get what I'm saying? But those of us who come from lower class of society, they don't validate any of that experience. They don't validate none of that. We're fucking natural born survivors. So when you put us in these arenas with these other people, they're not the same as us.
That's right.
The founders of this country, they came from hard knocks. You see what I'm saying? All the great minds of business people, they came from struggle. But now everybody looks like you came from struggle like a deficit. Listen, I go to countries and I see the smartest. Listen, you see kids. I was in Colombia. It's a little Venezuelan boy. And he's probably not more than like 10 years old, man. Just living on the streets, hard. But smart. Like, not formally educated, but just, he know how to survive. He know how to hustle, you know what I'm saying? So, he always, one day, he just followed me all through the, city. Like, man, I like your style. And his English is better than my Spanish. Let me put it to you like that. But, my friend of mine she had to keep kind of like interpreting, and she like, oh, he said this and that, I'm like, I appreciate it. And, but this little boy, I'm thinking, has almost developed a second language at like 10 years old from tourists. And is surviving in the street because it's like 2:33 in the morning when we walk in.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And I was gonna say that. I mean, even with everything that
in the park, and man, they survivors, bro.
Well, everything that I know how to do, I know how to do it because of
necessity.
I mean, I learned how to learn how to do beats and record because I didn't want to pay for beats. I didn't want to pay for studio time, so I had to learn how to do it. The same thing with the video stuff. I didn't want to pay somebody to do music videos. So, I mean, we bought cameras and we learned how to, you know what I mean, how to film and edit and everything like that. And so when you don't, I mean, even within here in the crib, I mean, the flooring, I mean, you know, Kevin knew how to do it, but I mean, I helped him do it, so I learned how to do it. The same thing with the deck.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
so
think about
everything
when
that we do.
think about we had the gym.
Well,
think of all the, like we was working with heavy machinery and shit.
Doing the work
because we didn't want to pay nobody.
And trying to figure it out and
Yeah.
learning and everything. And that's kind of like my point is that when you come from a place, you have to learn how to do multiple things because you can't pay somebody else to do it. So you have to learn how to do multiple things. You have to learn how to maneuver in that space.
But that adds to the richness of your life and quality of your life. But that's my point. People don't capture that nowadays. They just want to know you got the degree to do this job.
Well,
they're not capturing.
I think that person who just has the degree is safe.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
Well,
when
they used to be safe because the way society's moving now, they're not looking too safe.
Well, I would know, but what my point is that if I'm hiring somebody, I don't.
Oh, you don't want the guy that has a lot of talent. I see.
Why?
Yeah, you're right. Right. From an administrative standpoint,
because
you do
I
want them
just want you to do what I'm telling you to do. Now, is that harmful at some level? It is, because then you don't grow unless you grow from the top down, unless someone at the top had a vision and you know what I mean, to implement some things to get better. You never grow, you know what I mean. And it's you know, if people talk about it, we talk about it from the you know, vertical, meaning from the top down, and then horizontal, which, you know what I mean, kind of everybody, you know, leadership on all levels, and then you have input and opportunities from growth throughout the organization. If you embrace that, then the organization is going to be better overall. But you lose.
Hey man, let me ask you
power.
Okay, you're safe, but is anybody enjoying this? Like, do you come across people who live that life? And because, like, I'm gonna be honest, I used to kind of have to tug a war with my kids' moms because they're more traditional in their ideology, like go to school and do. And I'm more like, yo, do what's gonna make you happy. And I'm like, yo, like, don't y'all see, like, this shit is not making you happy. Just like, if you're not living a happy life, why sell it to your child? Like,
there's a certain difference when it comes to how different people from different backgrounds receive the indoctrination, and it's related to how structured, and I don't even go past structured to sterile the environment is. In other words, if you come from Arlington, right? So you drive to Arlington. If you go down the street in Arlington on a sunny day, you're not going to see very many people out walking. You're not going to see trash and litter. You're not going to see cars parked on the street.
mm-hmm.
All right, they're going to be in mostly not even in driveways, mostly in garages, but some in driveways, but not on the street. Nothing's out of place. Mm-hmm. It's neat. It's orderly, right? And so then when you take children who grew up in that environment and you put them in a classroom and you say that it's going to be just like this, I don't need you to fit in this package. Their whole life has been a package, been fitting in the package. When you take kids who come from the inner city and you don't have that same thing. We playing football in the street with cars parked. You know what I mean? We're you know what I mean? You walk up and down the street, there's litter, there's things out of place, there's you know what I mean? It's not just some neat little package. There's people walking around. You know what I mean? Some of them are friendly. Some of them are not so friendly. You have to learn to distinguish the difference.
It's trauma. It's chaos.
You have to learn how to maneuver in the chaos, and you normalize it because your survival depends on you being able to normalize it. You being able to walk around and not be afraid everywhere you go depends on you normalizing an environment that may not seem normal to someone who comes from this sterile, structured environment. And so that's part of the difference of what happens to us when we get to the classroom. If you look at Afrocentric as a school, your impression or whatever would be that the kids are off the chain, they all over the place. You know what I mean? If then you go to even staying in Columbus City schools, if you go to like a Centennial or something, and you walk in there, am I just walking around like, you know, where they supposed to be when they supposed to be there? You know what I'm saying? So
man, that's deep.
So
I never thought about it like that, Dave. But that's deep.
It is. And so
you went to Linden, I went to East, so we was in chaos.
Right. So all of that then has an impact on how well you receive the indoctrination. Because the kids from Afrocentric, once they come up, I mean, when they graduate, they're able to do fine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not like they get to college and they can't do the work or anything.
Right.
That's not what that.
Nah,
what that
and
is.
they got more hustle. They got more survival skills than a lot of them other kids. Cause that man, listen, I know you know I didn't see it with my raising my kids. Like my son playing football, I used to be like, what the fuck? Like parents is packing these kids shit in high school. I'm like, man, I wish. Bro, I wasn't doing it in Little League, for real.
Right.
My son knew, like, leave anything. You set the wood, bro. I'm not doing that. Like, it's crazy, man. It's like, I don't know. You know, you're right, but the majority of society is like that now. And I feel like the majority of society is off. It's interesting because I can see that whole scenario, but in the so this is the thing. In the urban area, I see the dynamics like that, right? But when you go to the rural area, like those communities seem to be doing better. Like it seems to, like.
Well, let me say this. Now, they here's the problem, and here's where the I think the misconception lies. Doing better at what? Being indoctrinated?
No, at not being indoctrinated. Because they keep their independence. You know, kids in rural areas, their parents are like letting them hunt at a young age, teaching them about life.
But this is the difference, though, because they are being taught. Well, I don't want to describe it. Actual. Like in other words, like so we like I was saying before, we started off being taught, you know what I mean, pledge allegiance, these are your heroes and all of that stuff. So we look up at them to protect us and take care of us.
Okay, so what I would say about them in the rural areas, to me, it appears like they're indoctrinated, but they also is still surrounded with their quality of life.
They're taught to be able to survive.
Exactly, and it still fits into their quality.
They're not taught that somebody's coming to save them.
I got you. Yeah.
They're not taught that everything is going to be all right.
Yeah, they taught the amendments. They're not indoctrinated. They read the Constitution.
It's a difference.
It is. It's right. You're right. It's which is sad. It's really showed you the programming, the level that we've allowed government to control education. That's scary.
Now here's the problem. The problem is that if you see it through the lens, of we let government control education, then that's the issue, because the government created public education.
Yeah.
So we know they're going to control it. And so you have to be aware from the jump that that's what the game and the plan is, and so you can act accordingly.
But you're right, because that's what really frustrated me about the system, is because the system isn't really built to work. It's built to control people.
Exactly.
Because the thing is that we fought for education, but had they liberated us, they would have gave communities the money to educate their own people in their own way. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're like, nah, we just freed your ass. We're going to tell you what we want you to read. Like, you get what I'm saying? So we didn't really realize that we should have never bought. But you know what? I think that's why you get in the upper class kids that go to private schools, because they can control the narrative if they control the schools.
So I work in the school system, and and I work in custodial, which we're responsible for keeping clean and safe and healthy learning environment. And so regardless of whether or not I believe that the goal of the school system is to teach the kids and to take care of the kids, and it's all for the kids, I don't. But my responsibility to the kids is keeping it clean and safe and healthy. And so regardless of what they trying to teach them, I'm still trying to keep them clean, safe, and healthy.
Right.
Food service is still trying to give them hot meals. So all the support people are still trying to take care of the kids. They are actually there for the kids.
Yeah, I get it.
It's just that the
curriculum,
the school is not there for the kids to begin with.
Right.
It's not there. It's not there to benefit the kids. And so, you know what I mean? And that's where you have the problem there and the disconnect. But again, it's what you're taught coming up through public school system is you're taught to submit to the government. You're taught that in submitting to the government, everything's going to be okay, because hey, listen, even in the worst case scenario, no matter how bad it gets, the government's going to take care of you. Hey, they'll give you a place to live. They'll give you food to eat. They will buy you clothes. And so the government is going to...
But here's the problem, Dave. Like, when we went to school, we already felt how hard life could be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So pretty much most kids, even the ones who's doing a little better, knew, that things could get rough. Here's where I have a problem. Minorities going to school, public schools, we already had the deck stacked against us. Like, if you grew up in the 70s and you went to a public school, you know exactly what racism is. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what think about it. The teachers, we ain't had these kind of teachers they got nowadays. Like, you know good and well the kind of teachers we had. We had a few good, solid teachers sprinkled in that looked out for us. We never had no problems with the but you already knew. You knew who all the teachers that hated black kids was before you got to school. And you knew if you end up in that class that you was going. It was hard for me to eat shit from them. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Is it better to know or to not know?
Well,
because the motherfuckers are still out there.
Yeah, no, they still.
So is it better?
Oh, you think they are still out there?
Oh, my goodness, they definitely still out there. But the
I don't know.
point is,
society seems way more liberal now. Like,
but all I'm saying is that then you knew.
I see what you're saying. It's mass now.
Now you don't know. It's still going on.
Yeah. I don't know. You can feel when people ain't for you. And I just can't buy into that system. It's hard for me to be like, the look, and I gotta buck the system. I gotta buck the system.
Man, I'm going to tell you this, and this is not that long ago, man. This is not that long ago. I was working at one of the high schools. I was a night custodian at the time. And my area to clean was the area with athletics. Mm-hmm. So they had the gym and everything on that end. And so, you know, every day after school we had a gate that we would pull. And so, you know what I mean? And so you couldn't, if you were after school, you couldn't get to any of the rest of the building. Mm-hmm. So if you was a kid, you was after school, you had to be in this area, and I worked in that area. And so, you know, I would do things to look out for the kids. You know what I mean? And so I would chop it up with them. You know what I mean? Right. So I had a young dude, and he used to always ask me if he could come in the gym and shoot. And at the time, there was this chick there, and her name was damn, if I tell her name, everybody knows. But her name was Asia Taylor. She went on to play college hoops for Louisville. You know what I mean? Yeah. Really, really sweet girl. I mean, just go. You know what I mean? And I would allow her to go in the gym. Yeah. And then, you know, the dudes that complained about not being able to go in the gym, I would say, I'll let you go in there, but you got to beat Asia one-on-one. And so they'd just be like, you know, fuck the gym. they'd just be like, nah, I'm going now, you know what I mean? Right. But it was one cat, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to get into practice, and I used to talk to him about other stuff, you know what I mean? And one of the things is that he liked baseball. Yeah. And I was like, well, man, you should play. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, man, I don't know, you know, Mr. Howe, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's you know, it's a little different. And so I said, nah, man, that's what you want to do. You should go out for the team. So he did. You know what I mean? Yeah. He went out for the team. He made the team. And I knew you know, one of the coaches. Mm-hmm. And we had a pretty good relationship. We laughed and talked everything, and you know what I mean, and I respected the coach. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I'm, you know, a little time had passed, and I'm talking to him, and I'm asking him how everything is going. And he was like, man, I'm thinking about giving it up. And I was, you know what I mean, like, why, man? You know what I'm saying? You're not doing well? He said, no. He said, I'm good at it. He said, they don't want me there. Dang. And it was one of those things that, I mean, he was well liked. He was a good kid. I mean, he wasn't an asshole. You know what I mean? He was much better at baseball than he was at basketball. But everybody was fine with him playing basketball. Just didn't want him coming over for the baseball team. And so there were lines that were drawn.
Yeah, bro. It's like, it's been like that.
And so what I'm saying is this wasn't that long ago. And so once upon a time, the lines were clear. And so now the lines exist. It's just that they're not so clear.
Yeah, because when we was in school, we knew it was baseball was all the white boys, and we had football and basketball.
But think about that. Does that make sense?
This is how it was.
But does that make sense?
No, it doesn't.
And let me ask you this: what is the highest paying sport?
Baseball.
And so
And
why?
you know
and
our
who
baseball
are,
coach was
and
a
some
football
of
coach.
and some of the best baseball players in history.
Was a football player.
Why,
Well, our baseball coach he was a football coach.
Why?
No
why,
black dudes play.
Why has that just been taken? And so our kids and it didn't used to be that way. So everywhere you go in the city, you can find a basketball
Because they
court.
took them out the inner cities.
The Diamonds.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they wanted baseball. I don't know. Shit. I know we went to softball. And nobody liked softball.
I mean, but think about that.
All my uncles played baseball. They was like, what the fuck is this softball shit? They took the baseball.
Think about that, though, T.
Yeah, it don't make sense.
Think about that. I mean, because, before there was the NFL, all the athletes.
It didn't work because look how many Dominicans is in the league now.
Yeah,
so they still got people of color.
I'm talking about from America, though.
Right. I know, but I'm just saying.
Because they still have their diamonds.
No, we know they took it away from us. We know they took baseball from us.
Yeah, let's say we know as
Listen,
you and I sitting here
when
talking.
When I was little, right, my grandmother lived in Reynoldsburg, right? So they got me on, and my uncle somehow was coaching, helping out coach or whatever, because he grew up in Reynoldsburg. Because my grandmother, she got a house out in Reynoldsburg. So I got other cousins out there. My cousin that my grandmother adopted, he playing something. They bring me out. I'm cold as shortstop. We make it all the way to the championship. Why did the people go petition? He don't live in Reynoldsburg. They sent my little black ass right back to Columbus, bro.
So
that was the last time I ever played it.
Man, do you think it's? I mean, and that's a whole another topic. But do you think? But do you think? I mean, when you think about that, it was done intentionally.
Oh yeah.
It was done intentionally. You see that the NFL is predominantly black.
Right.
The NBA is predominantly black. When you look at baseball, you have players of color. How many of them are American?
No, you're right. Not a lot. Because we don't play baseball no more.
But we used
I know we used to be good at it, but they took it out.
Not only was we good at it, we had our own league.
Yeah, and they took the league.
Why?
Well, you know why they took the Negro league.
Because it was, you know what I mean? Motherfuckers wanted to watch that shit.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, now y'all motherfuckers come over here with us.
Yeah.
So if they're going to watch, they can watch all of it. And then they took all the motherfucking diamonds out of the inner city.
You saying this was a conspiracy day?
Blackburn Recreation Center. Is there a baseball diamond?
No.
Thompson's Recreation Center. Is there a baseball diamond?
Yeah, but it ain't big. I think Thompson got one on the other side.
Where?
Like when you coming down, what's that, Fifth?
Right, that was
where
a
the
basketball
playground
court.
Is. Oh yeah, it's a basketball court. No, they don't got one.
It's a basketball court.
That's right. My bad.
You know what though? I think you're right. I think that used to be a baseball
I think
diamond.
it used to be a baseball diamond.
But now it's what?
It's a basketball court. Yeah, I think it used to be
Where else you want to go? Lincoln Park?
Yeah.
So my point is, when you really think about it, T, when we was kids, there were a few.
There was. And as a matter of fact, where we used to play football at the plaza, there used to be baseball diamonds over there, but they tore them out. Remember when we was little, the weeds used to grow up on the cages. At Nelson, weeds used to grow up on the cage. They tore them all out and put basketball courts.
Tore them all out and put basketball courts.
That's deep. I ain't never. Dave, I ain't never put it together, Dave. I ain't gonna lie. I never.
Think about that. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone.
We used to climb up on them, remember?
Steve, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. Because when I was a kid going to the rec center, you know what I mean? That was part of the sports. They had basketball, they had softball, that was all part of it.
Yeah, but the softball used to be baseball. Like my brother and them when they age, and then it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But my whole point is that, you know what I mean, it was taken. I mean, think about it, and then look at the game.
You know what's crazy? I knew that happened here in Columbus, but you're right, it happened all across America because everybody I didn't talk to from the inner city, same shit happened to them.
Why?
What do you think, Dave?
I mean,
it's the American pastime.
Man, listen, what sports pays the most money?
Yeah, they play the most games too.
I mean, football. Replace heavyweight boxing.
Yeah.
Because that's where shit. Even
most of the players that would be heavyweight boxers are in the league now.
I play in the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I done told people that. They like, what you mean? I'm like, man, this big niggas with feet so good. I'm like, they playing DN. That's what they playing. Defensive line. Some niggas out there clean.
And don't get me wrong. You go in there and do a fight, and you can make several $1 million for a bout. You can make the money like that, but you know what I'm saying. Certain positions in football, hell, you can play, you can get that same money, and you know what I mean. The baseball. Hell, you can play fucking baseball. You can be a motherfucker play baseball and have your entire career and never have a fucking injury. It's not a contact sport.
Yo, you can ride the bench your entire career in baseball. And man, the league minimum in baseball is something fucking crazy.
T, you don't have to be fast to play baseball. You don't have to be a great athlete play baseball.
Right.
But you make the most money. And they took out all the baseball diamonds. Who does that cater to?
Yeah. I like, somebody. We're gonna have to find out from somebody on the conspiracy side of things going to tell us why they took us out of baseball.
Oh, I'm just saying. Think about it.
It was strategic. It was strategic.
Look, think about how different the game would be. Because even with athletes, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, like Dominicans and everybody playing, that's not the same level of athlete.
Oh man, we used to be like, I know we used to play stickball. Remember we used to play stickball?
So think about this now. Think about the game of baseball the way it is. Right? Now think if you had all the athletes from the NBA and the NFL playing baseball. Think of how Deion dominated.
Yeah.
So if you
they'd all be two sports.
So
all of them be playing both.
I don't know. Would think about what would happen to baseball.
Oh no, we would be back in like
all of a sudden, you would see a drop off in white baseball players. Think about it. If you started
a huge drop off. What are you talking about?
That's right. That was the difference in the Negro League and the regular league. Is in the Negro League, the athletes and the games were electrifying.
Yeah.
And so people wanted to see that. So
right.
They said, "Oh no, y'all come in here together. You know what I mean? Now nobody's gonna watch this shit." Mm-hmm. And if you had all these kids in school, that was would be able to play baseball and get in baseball and had the same opportunities in baseball. I can remember when we were growing up, I can remember dudes that was trying to get on in baseball. My niece's dad was dope in baseball, was trying to get on in baseball. And I want to let motherfuckers get on in baseball, T.
Yeah, you know, you right. My barber was the same way. He played semi-pro. He was dope in baseball.
What was his name?
Nate.
That's my brother-in-law.
Oh, Nate is your? Oh shit.
My sister's my
Oh,
cousin.
Nate was a monster.
My niece's name is Natalie.
Damn.
Yeah, that's Nate's daughter.
Yeah.
Used to cut on when you said they cut on Mount Vernon.
Yeah. Peppers.
Nate Easley.
Yep.
Yeah.
He cut the peppers.
But like you said, Nate was dope. And it's gone. It's gone, T. It's fucking gone. What else is gone?
You right, Dave. They took us out of. Man, listen.
You don't think that was a plan? I'm just saying. It's gone. It's gone. What else is gone? What else can you think of that's gone?
Sports wise. I mean, our community's gone, so a lot of shit is gone for us. But
there were other things going on in the community that's gone that was taken for some of the same reasons. I mean, if you have all the black-owned businesses that used to be in the community, now you spending your money in the community. We have at this point, the black community in the United States is the biggest consumer base in the United States. We don't make the most money, but we're the biggest consumer.
yeah.
And so take that money. We're the biggest consumer in the United States, and take that money and put it in all black businesses.
Oh yeah.
And black people will run the country.
Oh yeah.
Because obviously, if we're the biggest consumer, if we spend all our money with black businesses would be the most successful, thriving businesses.
Dave, look at how much money in government is directed to inner city areas. If they really wanted to fix the problem, you would go to the problem. See, all the people making the decisions about those problems don't come from those communities. Communities been policing themselves for years. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You can't, there ain't enough police in the whole of America to control the city. You get what I'm saying? It has to be done from within the community. They decentralize everything because they don't want us to work together. You know, like I know, you can put money in certain cats' hands in certain cities. You know, that'll keep a whole neighborhood safe. You get what I'm saying? But now it's like, oh, we got to fight over law. That's not what they did with 5 Points gangs back in the day, did they?
The rules of the game change according to, you know what I mean, the need for them motherfuckers to win. So, you know what I mean? So the rules can be this way and everything be just fine, and then you have motherfuckers just you know what I mean, to figure it out, and you start having, you know, as soon as we start winning and they say, okay, the rules can't be like that no more, so these are the new rules. You know what I mean? And the motherfuckers says, oh man, that's fucked up. They came with these rules, and you know what I mean? And when, you know, they just did that to us, and then we figure the shit out, and then we start winning with those rules. And they say, oh, fuck them rules. We got to come with some new rules. And I don't care. I mean, that happens in any arena, I think. I mean, hell, look at the NFL. You know what I'm saying? How they keep changing the rules.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then every year they come on and everybody says, man, that's some bullshit, man. Them rules are stupid. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody playing football like that. It ain't even gonna be football anymore. And then everybody learns the rules, and then, you know what I mean? And then learns how to win with those rules in place, and, you know, and there's penalties and yada, 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 yada. But, I mean, I think the same thing happens for society, and the rules have continued to change over the years. And you know what I mean? And so people who were successful, I mean, let's look at, you know what I mean, the people who were successful during the Prohibition. Mm-hmm. They broke the law.
Yeah, it's always going to be like that.
You know what I mean? And they got money, and then, you know what I mean? And then they changed the rules, and they said, you know what? Liquor is legal. You know what I mean? And the people who made their money from it then invested in other things, you know what I mean? And the family maintained that wealth. And, you know what I mean? And, you know, I think you're going to see the same thing with, you know, with weed. You know what I mean? You know, I think we're not too far off with the whole country saying, look, fuck it, it's legal. Now, if you were able to make money off of it before it became legal, you can continue that brand and stay in that lane, or you can go invest in other things and
that's real.
You know what I mean, and do it the same way. But the rules are going to change at some point. They always do. And when they change, you know what I mean, the only thing you can do is learn how to play by them. Now, the thing I think that hurts us, one of the things that hurts us the most as a culture, as a people, is that we don't know all of the rules. We only know some of them. Mm-hmm. We only know some of the rules, and the rules that we know are the ones that they told us. And the rules that we don't know is the ones that you have to go research and read and learn about on your own. We don't know very much about those rules. And so we can only play the game as well as the rules that we know. And that's a very small part of all the rules. And so that's why our successes, even when they look like a big success on a monetary level, they're small successes on a cultural level and as a people, because we still, even when we have the successes, like even, you know, getting that football contract is like winning the lottery. You still don't know the fucking rules.
Right. Yeah, that's why so many people. That's why yeah.
So you can't. So how can you help everybody else? You see what I mean? And that's the other thing, is that you don't have a whole lot, like when we look at even the recent years in Columbus, man, we look at the Hispanic community and we look at what they've done coming into the city and how they stick together, and they, you know what I mean, and they build each other up. Mm-hmm. And they support each other. You see them going to, and if you see them going to a food truck, then you know that's the food truck you want to go to, because when they pull up on it, you best believe it's some good food. But they support their own. You're not gonna see them all up in McDonald's and doing that craziness. They gonna go and support, you know what I mean, themselves. When we get money, we become gatekeepers. You know what I mean? We try to keep everybody else from getting the money. We want to, hold everybody at bay, so to speak. We don't look to try to figure out how I can take this money now and and help the community. I'm gonna take care of my family. You know, I'm gonna go buy everybody a new car. I'm gonna buy my mama a house. You know what I mean? I'm gonna I'm gonna pull up at the events. You know what I mean? You know, drop some food. I'm gonna bless y'all with these gifts. But we don't. You know what I mean? Even with the African cats. You know what I mean? Like what's my man's name? Shoot, what's his name? The singing cat that was on all them hip hop joints.
Toby?
No. Oh man, I can't think of his name.
Singer
Cat. He was on all them songs, all them joints, man, with the rappers always singing the hooks and everything. Anyway, he took that money to Africa, and he, you know what I mean?
Oh, you talking about what is his name? I can see him right now.
It started with an A.
Yeah, I know. I keep about to say the rest. It's yeah.
The same thing with the like the soccer player cats that, you know what I mean, that make that money and take the money back to Africa. We talked about,
man, Dave, I'm high. I can't think of his name, bro.
It'll come in. We'll come in,
but it goes both ways though, because at the same time, people who have money and try to do good by us, a lot of times we're not trying to reciprocate because we got so much hate in our community. Do you see what I'm saying?
We do, but let me say this, and this is just, you know, my perspective on it. Okay, and you know, I harp on this. You know what I mean? If I've said this once, I've said this 1,000 times. I harp on this because it's, to me, and you and I discussed this about the whole reading thing and literacy and how important it is, and how even though you was getting in trouble, you was getting suspended once a year, every year you was in school, when you decided to go to college,
right,
because you had those reading and comprehension skills, you was able to be successful because you could sit down. And once you decided, I'm going to discipline myself, to sit down here and do this, then you was more than capable of doing it because you had those tools.
Honestly, like, my mom is a very intelligent woman, and that's what she knew. She wasn't like, you know, my mom wasn't forcing me to go to school. It wasn't like that, but you know. But that was because they came out of the civil rights. You know what I'm saying? It was a different mentality. It was like, you gonna have sense. I never looked at school as a place that was educating me.
But it was, but you had those tools.
Yeah. But I was being educated. I didn't go to school a lot when I was young, so my mom made sure I had a lot of books and.
Right.
Yeah, like you
right.
the same way.
Same way. But my point is because you had those tools, then when you made the determination, when you decided you wanted to take action, then you were able to take action because you had the tools. So it's hard for me to believe. It's hard for me to understand that on a national scale, we can believe how important reading is. I mean, you see the commercials. Reading is fundamental. We talk about how important reading is. We know that children who are unable to read are more likely to at some point in their life become incarcerated. We understand all of this. And we also can peel the onion back, and we can say that the government, and when I say government, I'm not talking about fucking Biden. I'm talking about the real government. I'm talking about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. I'm talking about
money. Yeah.
The real government. Because more or less the rest of the government is just officers in the position in the corporation.
You ain't talking about the military arm of America.
I'm
talking about true power. I got you.
I'm talking about the powers that be who created the public school system.
Yeah.
All right. So we understand that it is not their intention.
Wasn't it Rockefeller that said, I don't need more thinkers, I need workers?
Rockefeller.
Rockefeller. And he funded the school system. That was it.
So what does that tell you?
Program all these motherfuckers.
Okay, that was the intention to begin with. And so we understand that that's the premise, that's the intention. And so we're not searching. We're not going to fool ourselves with the expectation that that's going to change now. That was put into place for a reason, and it has been very successful in what it was intended to be. But we do know how important reading is.
Yeah.
And so we have enough successful Black Americans in this country to be able to at some point say, hey, listen, all right, damn everything else, we got to learn to read.
Yeah.
And so we're going to collectively.
And you know what? We only talk about what is it? The average reading is written on a 3rd grade level. So we ain't even talking about like really advanced reading. Just basic comprehension.
Basic reading comprehension, T. And so
I'm with you.
And so and you know what the problem is? And just one of the problems, not the problem, but just one of the problems, is that if we had all of the successful Black entertainers and athletes in the United States say, we are going to donate $1 million to literacy. All right. That money would be matched by the federal government, who would then determine how it was distributed.
Yeah, you're right. They got complete control of it. Yeah.
So you understand what I'm saying? It
don't even make sense. Like,
and the whole thing is,
and people do that. They go and raise money for the school system. Like, you putting money into a system that ain't even for you. Like,
that's not going to change, because as long as that happens, because the money is already there. If you look at it as dollars, it's already available.
But so like they did the charter schools, but here's what you don't have with the charter schools. You don't have community. Because if you had community and you had your own schools and you could pull all the money, just like you could pull them from all these different social service and behavioral health and all these different models, and take that money and begin to build within the community, you change the community. They don't want to change the community because we got to keep this motherfucking country going. And we got to keep spending.
And the part,
and not in our community.
And then the other part that hurts us, and I think this is part of it too, is that so let's look at it, because you always got to peel the onion back. So the reason we know the athletes and actors giving money to that won't be effective, because they would just be putting the money together with government funding, and it would be fucked up the way it's being fucked up now. And the actors and athletes, while they would donate that million because they could write it off, would not be involved in making sure that it gets to where it's going to go.
Not only that, the government systems are the ones that are going to accreditate them too. So they're going to be the ones that say, if you're, we know, yeah.
And so then if you have 20 charter schools, and one of those charter schools steals money, and that hits the news, then all the charter schools are stealing money.
Yeah, you're right.
And the media is going to, I mean, when I say blast it, they're going to push that narrative till everybody knows that this charter school stole money. And that's the way to control it. Again, through controlling the media, controlling the narrative. But
And you see that?
yeah, but I got 15 minutes.
Okay.
But so the other side of it is this: in the model that China started with re-empowering the community,
right?
And you know, holding ourselves accountable in the community, however that looks. That's another piece. But then if the money was to be available, then in order to access the money, you have to be hands-on, grassroots programs right there in the community, teaching the children, getting them to read, producing results, and you're not getting funding.
Yeah, that's
based
what,
on
the
number
that's
of
what the Panthers
heads.
used to do. That's what the Panthers used to do.
That's what the Panthers. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. I mean, that's the whole thing when we were talking about that whole piece is that's the piece. That's what's missing. And and that's another thing, just like we talked about baseball and how it disappeared and why. And when we think about the Panthers and this is just bananas to me, but everybody knows about the Panthers. Everybody knows that they existed. Even little kids that's coming up now, if you ask them about the Black Panther Party, they can tell you something about the Black Panther Party and what it stood for.
Mm-hmm.
How is it that it's been 60 years since the federal government has shut down the Black Panther Party? How is it that it's been 60 years and there's no resurfacing? There's nobody suggesting that they are Black Panthers and that they're starting the movement with the same principles. How is it that it's gone? How is that?
I mean, I know, because you got, how you gonna have the Panthers when you got the Democratic Liberal Party? You know what I'm saying? The Democrats basically came in and said, we're the ones for you. We're going to get all this money for your programs and your services. Don't do none of that.
So the Democratic Party replaced the Panthers?
In my opinion.
Well, at that time, and you know, forgive me because my political, my political awareness.
And you got to remember, the Black Panther Party, Malcolm X, Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, they was radicals, bro. They were radical. Like, Martin Luther King was seen as radical amongst the conservatives, but we look at him, we know he was conservative. We know where he came from. And so when you
at the time when the Black Panther Party existed, and this is a question. I don't know the answer to this, but I know it's relative, and I know it's close in the timeline. But the question is, at the time when the Black Panther Party was thriving, did black people in America support Republicans or Democrats? Because at one point, black people in America supported the Republican Party.
Yeah, it was. When did that switch around? Like Eisenhower. It was. So okay, when blacks were supporting the Republican Party, I don't know the exact date, but it would have been after it was after like Jim Crow and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because the Republican Party actually was the party that like abolished like that went after like the Ku Klux Klan, and initially that was where the Democrats. So that shift came later. I can't remember. I thought it was like Eisen.
So the shift to the Democratic Party came after the Black Panther Party.
Nah, during that time. It would have been during that time.
It was
during that time. But here's the thing.
The timelines overlap.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
And so
you had your professional. See, that's why I say you had your house Negroes who were more bought into the system, who were taking these jobs, who were politically moving,
right?
And we're going to make this happen, and you know what I'm saying, we're going to work with the government, we're going to do all these things. And you had the more radical approaches, like, man, they don't give a fuck about us. We the field niggas. We the niggas here in the street. Our babies ain't eating. Our kids ain't got no education. See,
and they started making sure that those things were happening.
Yeah, so after we had a lot of our civil rights leaders and stuff start dying, then there was a push for this, you know, for all these educated Negroes and everybody.
Just one pause. Our civil rights leaders started dying?
Or being killed.
Okay.
Same thing.
All right.
Yeah, you're right.
A little different now. They didn't just start dying.
Right.
So around the same time, all right, that the Black Panther Party was shut down, our black leaders were being murdered. And then the Democratic Party, who was against us,
is now for us.
Then became the replacement for the Black Panthers.
Yeah, and then that's when they started ushering in welfare and all of the money.
Is that I'm just saying, is that completely bonkers?
We need a real tight historian to tighten this all up.
I'm just saying, man. We gotta take a look. We gotta take a look at that. Yeah. Is that not bonkers?
It's crazy.
Is that bonkers? So.
But think about it. Always the street level kids. We was always the ones fighting the system. When I was a kid, listen, I remember all the Nation of Islam kids, you know, parents was Nation of Islam and my Muslim brothers and sisters. They'd be right next to me in the office. We was the only ones fighting for our rights. If you had a tell the truth, Dave, what was the chances if a kid came in class, he had an African name, nigga was gonna be in trouble. You already knew it. If your name was Muslim, your name was African, your ass was in trouble. So but Billy and John wasn't getting. They might have been getting in trouble, but for real, Muhammad, Atiba, all of y'all niggas with these funny names, you know what I'm saying? If your name was Abdullah, if your name was Mufasa, if your name was anything.
And I'm just my whole thing is that there was a shift, and the shift happened. I mean, it was a hard shift. T, that's a hard shift.
Well, I mean, you do remember, like, it was the collapse of the father because, you know, they was offering welfare to women, like. And they was being slick about it. Like, how much your husband bring in a week? $50. You know, I can give you $55, but he can't live here. You know, they was coming with the little underhead.
Man, and you know what? And the thing about it is, and this is the crazy part, and you know what I mean? Because, you know, we saw it too. So then what you start seeing the dudes, is, shit. And go ahead and tell him I ain't here.
Yeah, tell him I ain't here. Let me hide in the back. But then she started getting that mouth with him. Like, this is my check. You living. He like, hold up, who you talking to?
Yeah, we thought it at first. It sounded like.
It sound cool, too.
Oh, yeah. They want to do that shit. They stupid. Go ahead and tell them to sit in that chick.
Until Uncle Sam became her man.
And it flipped.
And now you got the boss black woman.
And anytime,
you got sisters bullying niggas out here.
and the whole piece is right now today, if you go out into the community and suggest that, you know what I mean, the first thing we have to do in correcting ourselves is we have to get off of welfare.
Oh yeah.
You that's the end of your speech. Ain't nobody hearing shit else you got to say. Yeah. It's done, it's a wrap. And so if you have a combination. Yeah. You got a combination, T, because the question is,
Daddy gonna pay you, but you can't run your mouth once you get that money.
The question is, how did the Black Panthers that was so dominant, that was so impactful, that even shorties today, if you ask them who the Black Panthers were, everybody knows, everybody's aware of it. How did they go away for 60 years and they never came back? Welfare. And the Democratic Party became the political presence. The Black Panthers were politically, and the government became the aid to the community that the Black Panthers were.
Damn, that's deep.
In the community.
You're
and
right.
So, why don't they exist? Because government, or the Rockefellers, or the Rothschilds, when we say the government, we're not talking about the soldiers that's fought to protect the country. We're not talking about that. It's not being unpatriotic. It's saying that the motherfuckers who devised the plan to fuck everybody, not just us. The plan is to fuck everybody. It's a socialistic plan. It's not a racist plan. It's just that plays into the plan simply because it helps keep everybody where they at.
That's real.
But the thing that the piece is that the Democratic Party took the place of the political presence for all of the political battles that have to be fought. And welfare is the aid that is needed. All the programs set up through welfare and through government aid. So, when you take a look at that, then because the other thing that, and I'm listening to a dude the other day, and this is what he says. He says, the United States is a corporation. Like with any corporation, you have, board members, you have presidents, vice presidents, you have, officers, and all of that part of the corporation. When it's time to vote for a president, take a poll. And when you think about what a poll is, when you go to the voting polls, a poll is just basically saying what you like better. You like Pepsi, you like Coke.
Yeah, it is. That's all
it is.
They're
both colas.
Yeah, both colas. Which one?
Which one you like the best? So you have Trump, you have Biden. They both work for the same corporation.
Yeah.
Just asking you, which one do you like the best? Because whichever one you like the best, you're going to be more receptive to the bullshit coming from them.
Right. That's all it is.
You're just saying that I would rather hear the bullshit from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Or I would rather your bullshit than your bullshit. Because at least my quality of life might improve.
It's
your bullshit.
It's the same.
It's the same bullshit.
It's the same bullshit because it's the bullshit of the corporation.
Yeah.
It's just about how it's said. And each of them will come with things that they're going to do but they'll never have the power to do it. Like Biden got a lot of votes because he said he was going to get rid of student loans. Motherfucker, everybody, I'll vote for him. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Never going to be able to deliver to that. You see, but it got him elected. Mm-hmm. And you just chose to
that and everybody saying Trump was racist. Fear always wins.
Fear always wins. All right, but so then you have that. But like I said, so you know that the whoever Democratic or Republican, it doesn't matter. They work for the corporation. So now, instead of having the Black Panther Party for our political interests, we have the Democratic Party who works for the corporation.
Right.
And so everything it goes back to the owners. So and the welfare is just, is a gift from the corporation. Mm-hmm. The housing
to keep us in check
is public housing, belongs to the corporation. And so you don't need.
We might as well stop. We could.
Yeah, but. Yeah, I got you. I see you call him. I'm in the middle of recording. I'll be there at 7. So you got the Democratic Party taking the political piece. You got, the welfare. Mm-hmm. Taking, providing.
Right.
You got the public housing, providing shelter. What's the role? What's the role of the black man?
You're right. No, that's exactly what it is, and nobody wants to really call it out. It's like that. It's easy for the world to point the finger at the black man. It's easy for the man. It's like, and the black man is living in a matriarchal society now. Now you done gave all the power to the women to be able to talk crazy.
What's the role of the white man in an impoverished community?
It's going the same way.
It's the same exact shit. Your voice, if you're underprivileged, poverty, white male, your political interest is Democrats. Your housing and food is provided through the government.
Scare your ass you ain't gonna get your medicine. You ain't gonna get your medicine, homie.
It's social.
It is, bro. The Democratic Party, man. I remember Malcolm X in the speech. I think I said this on another tape we was taping, where he talked about him coming like a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it's like, man, they done got everybody hook, line, and sinker. They got the whole country running by. I talk to people, man, and it's just like they got all of your asses delusional. They done put a motherfucking. Man, this motherfucker Biden, bro, this motherfucker can't even complete a sentence. And he's representing the United States of America. People acting like in real time like this nigga's not falling every time he walks on stage, he goes the wrong way.
Oh, he fucked up.
I done seen this dude nod off. I done seen him like lose.
But the thing is it doesn't matter.
It don't matter. People still be making excuses for this shit.
Because the outcomes are the same.
It's crazy.
The outcomes are going to be the same. The outcomes are going to be the same.
Yeah, because, well, I don't know, man. You're right. But at least wake up and see what's happening right in front of you and get off of some of these systems.
Well, like I said, and the system thing is difficult to get. Because and again, I go. You know what I mean? You go past. We go through this conversation, and we'll be able to take snippets and put them together and do a whole overall picture. Because, like I said, we talked about the pledge allegiance to the flag and indoctrinating at an early age. We talked about the piece about the, you know what I mean, the third grade reading level, and, and you know what I mean, and how we skip over that. We talked about what the Black Panthers provided the community, and it was such an impactful thing that even now, even the younger kids still know, you know what I mean, who the Black Panthers were, what they stood for, what they were about. How that's been.
Oh man, what was that? I mean, you gotta think about it. The FBI was like, "What the hell? We can't have them out here educating themselves and building their communities up. They gonna build a nation within a nation."
Because and we talked about this before. We didn't touch on it today, but in times of slavery, Black people did all of the work, all of the labor. That means if anything had to be built or any architecture, they built it.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to go post-slavery, all of the skilled laborers were Black.
Right.
And so then if they're going to teach their own community, they're going to protect their own community, they're going to feed their own community, and they have all of the skilled laborers. It was survival.
Yeah.
When the feds, when the FBI got involved, that was when if you look at it through their lens and through the lens of it being a corporation, think of it now as a business, and these were threats to your business, and how do you react?
No, it absolutely made sense because and by controlling as much of education as you can, you don't give them an accurate picture of history, so they can't even see or have an idea of how much power they actually had. They knew that after Reconstruction, scared the shit out of them. It was like, oh shit. So it wasn't just the Panther Party. The Panther Party came after Reconstruction. After Reconstruction is when you had Jim Crow come, because Jim Crow was all about these niggas got, it's like you said, look at their neighborhoods, look at their houses, look at that piano, where they were engineers, architects, carpenters.
That's right.
They had all the skill. And the ones who couldn't read and write, they sent their kids off to college. They were sharecroppers and was getting cheated out of their money. Now the kids came back and said, nah, we can count. Couldn't do nothing with that shit.
And so you had to destroy it.
Yeah.
You had to figure out a way to destroy it.
When the Black Panther Party came back, it would have been the same way. It's every attempt of...
And one of the ways that they destroyed it, and you know what I mean, and they used our leadership to push it, was integration.
Oh, yeah.
Desegregation.
Yeah. Integration was it. Because now what you have is you have a whole class of African Americans that have tried to assimilate. They don't even identify with anything. Yeah. But
And those African Americans who no longer identify with the struggle and those same values that we learned growing up, you know what I mean, in poverty in the 70s, those are the folks that follow the indoctrination, find themselves in positions, and then in those positions question what the issue is, because the system worked just fine for me, so you must be the problem because the system is fine. Not seeing initially. They don't see when they're in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, and they're hungry and they're thirsty and they're going to get that position. But then when they get to their 50s, like your cousin said, I never lived.
yeah, you're right. That's real.
But they've already indoctrinated. And you know what they've done? They've already put the money up for the kids to go to college to be indoctrinated too. Even as they wake up, they can't bring themselves to stop their kids from doing it because they understand that if their kids play the game, then they'll have a house, car, family, the grandkids would be taken care of.
Yeah, you can have that. I mean, but I feel them if it works out like that. But at least live this shit. I don't know where things, you know.
But the 50-year-old wants life, wants to live now.
I know.
But they don't want to. But they don't want to take. They don't want to take the safety net away from their kids and grandkids. So they still don't reveal it.
I don't know where I'm gonna be at the end, but trust me, I'm fighting the whole way, man. I love this shit. I love life.
Bro, but the one thing that you know, I mean, that I say you've done, and you can see it in Mari, is that you've instilled the fight, you've instilled the passion to control the path. You know what I mean? And that's, you know what I mean, and that's living. And he's already embarked on, you know, on some of his, you know, take chances type things. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for better or worse, you gotta go out there. It's your shit.
And this journey is dope too. Yeah. The journey is dope. But man, we're gonna have to get us somebody on the next one. Get a history.
Oh yeah.
Get a history guy in here to come in here and start connecting these dots, because I think that timeline, that